Why Fibonacci? Because that sequence of numbers discovered by Italian mathematician Leonardo Fibonacci is omnipresent in nature, art, and architecture. It is something very universal that represents an optimal form of harmony between things, between the forces of nature, and maybe between people. Maybe this can be an inspiration of how people can better live together.
Nature is made up of these numbers, that you can find this pattern of numbers in nature and also within humans and creatures, all beings. That is such an epic framework to hang a story on. Mortality, life, the cycle of life, all those kind of big questions, and therefore also connecting into Indigenous peoples. And that's kind of that big connection for me, is the spirituality of it that you wouldn't think mathematics has.
It transcends circus technique. So there's this hunger and desire and kind of, I feel this burning need for the performers and artists to really connect with themselves and their past and wanting to say something about where they are in an Australian context and where they are in this kind of living in this land and landscape.
What we've seen in the creation process, even in the last week that we've been auditioning people, is to really have the ability to tease out real, genuine stories and tell them physically through the language of circus. And this is really powerful because the stories are human. Number one, they're human. Everyone can relate to these stories.
What we're looking for were seeds and kernels of ideas that we knew we could develop at a later stage. For example, what could be deemed an ordinary straps routine almost became one young man's fight against judgment, oppression, and being called out for being different. There was moments of emotional fragility but physical hardness, and how those two conflicted yet complemented each other was really beautiful when we saw people falling off handstand canes to spoken word.
Stop.
The anxiety, seeing someone strung up by their hair, allowing themselves to be guided, created a real visual tension, but it also created, for the performer, it created this incredible sense of elegance, but sense of being stuck. And we created this really fantastic scene called the Ancestors' Cloak, where a person walked alone in the space, carrying behind them their ancestors.
He was a prisoner of war for 7 years.
Who became this cloak, who sometimes swallowed them, but at other times lifted them up to kind of new heights.
My mother, she was British. My father, a Noongar man.
When you step outside of the nation or the country that you work within, it really, I think what it can do, especially for audiences within Australia, is that it can really broaden the palette of the local issues that they know. So it can really shine a light on those issues that we hear again and again, and really give it a global kind of a context in a way. It gives it another, what kind of seems like a new context to audiences. That's how I feel about in terms of working interculturally and across the waters.